Hey guys, my name is Gia and welcome to my channel. So today I'm not going to really do a card reading for you. Today I'd like to just kind of take some time out and introduce myself so you get to know me a little bit, and so I can tell you a little bit about my story and my awakening and why I'm doing this. So first of all, my awakening. So 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, I was in a marriage, and that dissolved and didn't work out, and I left that marriage and I went on a trail of destruction. I basically became a prostitute. I took drugs, heavy drugs, for quite a while, and I was on basically a destruction path. I was just numbing my pain. I'm numbing my pain about what was going on in the world in general. As a trans girl, seeing how we were being so sexualized by men. So many things made me so angry about the world. And I was awakening, and things were coming out of my mouth that hadn't previously came out of my mouth before. So things like, I would be with a client and I would just be like, "Hello, old soul. How are you today?" I just seemed to have like this knowledge of knowing what an old soul was, and I just would say all these things to people that just made sense. And then an old friend of mine who was also struggling with drugs and really battling with using intravenously, and he came to me one day and sat with me on my balcony and told me of a place that he went to where he basically sat on the stairs with them and sobbed and cried his heart out and told them about his conundrum, and they just sat with him and talked with him for an hour. And I was like, wow, these people sound really cool. How much do they charge you for that? And he said, nothing. And I was like, wow, what is this place? So I looked it up and it seemed so awesome, and they were combining spirituality with science, and that's right up my alley. And so I decided the next day that I was going to pay for him and for me to go and have a session there. And that was my gift to him. So the next day I woke up and I rang him and I said, "Please allow me to do this for you." And so he did. And I went and picked him up and we went to this place. And if you want to know what it is, it's called the Quantum Healing Centre. It's in Wavell Heights here in Brisbane. And I arrived there, and my friend was taken in by the shaman there, and I just sat in the lounge room or the waiting area, and was very peaceful and nice. And then about an hour and a half went by, and my friend came out and he seemed to be okay. And then I was called to go in. So at this stage I was very, very lost, and I was really searching for something, but I didn't know what it was. I was looking for my soulmate. I was looking for love. I was just broken and lost. And so I went to this man and I sat down, and the first thing he said to me was, "Hello, old soul. What can I do for you today?" And then words just started coming out of me. Straight away I said, "Well, I need angelic Reiki. I need to have spiritual coaching." And I said, "I feel like I'm on the opposite side of an invisible wall of where I'm supposed to be, but yet I can't break through. And I have tried every drug. I have been to counseling, psychologists. I have meditated. I have read my cards. I don't know what it is. I know that there's something bigger out there for me, but I don't know. And I'm really lost. And he said, well, it sounds like you know what you're here for. So I don't need to tell you what we do. Get up on the table and let's get to work. So I lied up on a massage table and he started doing muscle testing. So I would put my hand up and he was like pressing down and he was going, yeah, right. He goes, lots of grief. Well, if you know me well, you would know that, or if you do know me personally, you would know that I've lost my mum when I was 21. My brother hung himself when I turned 30. And then my father died just about 2 years before my marriage dissolved. And I said, oh, well, yeah, I've lost my whole family. And he said, oh, no, not that. Grief from a loss of child. And I said, yeah, I hate kids. And he goes, well, that'd be why. He goes, because, yep, you were Native Indian in your last life, I see. You like that. And I really resonated with that because I've always loved Native American Indian culture and belief systems and just everything about it. And I was a real fan of Pocahontas, of course. And then he goes, so much grief. You've had a loss of a child at childbirth and you were so upset that you went into the water and you never returned. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know much about past life regression, so I was just being an open mind, open heart about this. And then he goes, oh, you've really focused on your female side, haven't you? And I said, well, I am a transgendered woman. And he goes, yeah, but what you need to understand, darling, is you can't be complete without your little boy and your little girl. So what we're going to do for you today is we're going to try and heal you of this grief that's really been plaguing you this lifetime. You've carried it into this. And then, but most importantly, darling, what we're going to do is we're going to put you back together. And all I need you to do now is sleep. And so what he did is he put a little bit of gauze over my eyes. And I couldn't see what he was doing, but he started to make these noises and he was putting sage over me. And all of a sudden, boom, I was out. And then I opened my eyes and I could see the most beautiful scenery. I saw a beautiful mountain in front of a big lake and a prairie, almost like a field running up to the lake. And up above as an eagle flying or encircling. And I looked to my left and there was the guy that I went to that healing with. And he had a red mark across his face. It was almost like out of a scene out of The Last Mohicans or something. And he looked very fierce and angry. And then I looked down and I saw a dead baby. Now, I've never had children. I can't conceive them. I love children today, that is. And I've helped bring up my younger siblings and helped rear other people's children and even been a nanny at one stage. But I could never possibly understand the loss of a child. And, well, I cried. I bawled my eyes out. I seriously felt like I had lost a child. And it was devastating. And as I sobbed, I could hear the shaman say, just let it out. Let it out, darling. Just let it out. And I just cried and cried and cried. And then when the crying subsided, it's almost like I opened my eyes again and the same thing happened. But this time I looked down and my baby was alive. Now, one would think, being a Native Indian in my past life, that when I looked down at the child would be Indian. But oh no, the child was white, blonde-haired with blue eyes. Now, I didn't know what that meant at the time. I thought maybe it might have been a representation of my brother or something like that. And I got to watch almost the dream in a different way. Because when I actually saw myself before the child was alive, I actually watched myself go into the water and actually tie a rock to myself, drag it out there, and then drop it. And I drowned myself. And it was very, very sad. And then I watched it all just reverse, and then I had an alive child in my arms, and I watched this little baby girl grow up. A little blue-eyed, blonde-haired, white little child to 2 native Indians. I knew that I was a Navajo. I was filled with much knowledge about that life. And then at that moment I felt healed from that past life. And then it went dark. And then I felt like I left my body. I felt like I saw myself on the table, and then I went higher and higher and higher, and then I saw Earth, and next minute I saw the solar system, and then I kept going backwards and backwards like I was in a chair sitting back, and I was just going backwards, 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 and then I could see the Milky Way, and then I could see all the universes, and then it got faster and faster, and then all of a sudden I was going through a wormhole, and then I went through a series of almost like doorways, arched doorways that were like almost like smoke, like going like this, and I'd go through that, and then complete darkness, and then there was another doorway, and then I went through another wormhole. And then all of a sudden, then it kind of, the feeling of like being on a roller coaster stopped. And then I saw this beautiful pink star. Beautiful. The most beautiful star I've ever seen. And it wasn't bright like when you look at the sun or another star. I could actually see it like in totality. And I kept getting closer and closer to this star. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, this is going to get hot. But I didn't feel any heat or any coolness. And I got closer and closer to this beautiful pink star. And if you can imagine, this star was so big, and I was like the tiniest pinprick when I went up to it. And I got so close that I could touch the star. And then I went to touch it and put my hand to it, and then my hand went inside the star, and I started to merge inside of it. And I went right into the center of it. And then when I got into the center of it, I turned around and I could see myself on that bed, on that massage table with the shaman while he was doing his thing. And I pointed at myself and I said, I love you. I love you. And then complete blackness again. But this time, the blackness was so black I couldn't see anything, but yet I felt like I was with others. And I felt like I was with, like, you could call them my brothers and sisters. I felt like I was like a little child for the very first time waiting to see my fireworks or something like that. Like, you know, the very first fireworks when you're a kid, or something, you know, exciting, or the first day of Christmas, right? And I could feel like there were others with me. And I felt like mum and dad were there, but not my mum and dad, like, you know, someone greater, but it was that feeling of mum and dad, but yet I couldn't see them. And we were so excited. It was like looking up like this, like waiting for this big surprise. And then all of a sudden there was a massive, and then a boom. Almost like a billion monks were all omming all at the same time. The vibration was so great that it, like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden I could just see like so much color and light, and there was just everything, and we all felt like I was being hurtled across all of space and time, and it was just so hectic. And then all of a sudden it stopped, and then stillness, and I was back inside the star. But this time I looked around and I could see all of those who were with me They were stars. And oh, it was the most magnificent thing. And I could see like everything expanding and going out further and further. And I looked and I could tell like where I was and what I was. And then just at that moment, a huge voice came in. And it was masculine for me at that time. And it said, "You are fourth angel of creation, Galatria. It is time for you to wake up. You've been asleep. It's time to wake up the old souls. It's time. I love you." And at that moment, the shaman was like, lifted off the veil or the gauze and says, "Oh, we're done now, darling." And I just sat up and sat on the chair and goes, "So how was that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was great." And I had no words for what I'd seen at the time, but I felt so light. And I felt like the universe was seething through every essence of my body. It was just incredible. And I had no words for what I'd seen or what I experienced and had no idea what to do from there on in. And we had a little bit of a discussion and he mentioned that, you know, the guy I'd come with was very lucky to know me. And I think they thought that maybe we were a couple. And I was like, "Oh no, we're not a couple, you know, or anything." And I just said, "I just feel great. Like, I feel like you've connected me." And another thing that I forgot to mention too, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit here too, is before I went to that star, at one point during that healing, so I apologize for the jumping around here. At one point, I saw a blue flame in my left hand and a red flame in my right hand. And at one point, those flames combined together and they went together over my solar plexus area, and they were almost like welded back together with this really bright light. And my whole body was engulfed in this purple flame, so blue and red, you know, that makes that color, like this violet flame all over my body. And that's when I then started to ascend and then went and had that journey. So I apologize for the jumping around here, guys. I haven't told this story in quite some time. And I felt like I was levitating. And so from there, I started to go onto YouTube, and I locked myself in my room for about 3 days, and I pretty much didn't sleep. And when I did, I fell asleep to things like Cryon. I found beautiful pages like Higher Self on YouTube, angelic humans. I found out about the angelic humans. If you just YouTube some of these things I'm talking about, it'll give you a plethora of information. And I started laughing hysterically, and my housemate at the time was like, "What are you laughing at in there?" And I was like, "The creator. He put everything on here on the internet. It's all here for us." Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was so overwhelmed and so happy and elated that you know, that everything I could possibly need to know was on the internet. And yet it was there the whole time. And I just didn't open my eyes wide enough to see. And so after a lot of soul searching, a lot of journeying, a lot of questioning, a lot of meditating, a lot of study, a lot of research, and a lot of looking within me for my truth, I discovered that was my original creation of my soul. And my soul is over 5 billion years old. Probably longer or older, because our souls really are eternal. There is never a time that we never existed, and never will there be a time where we don't exist. And so some people, when they awaken, they often they awaken to something, they're not sure what, and then they go backwards. So past lives and then star origins, but it was different for me. I went back to my original center point of creation, and through many meditations and journeying, I discovered that that was actually my oversoul. And as the universe expanded and like the Big Bang, if you want to call it, and Dolores Cannon likens it to that, because that's the best way to describe it for most people. And I traversed from that oversoul and then went over to, as all the main oversouls or first original stars of creation or angels, we then went to each universe or galaxy, as you will, and nurtured each one of those creations. And so for me, Andromeda is a really, really important thing, because I know that I come from Andromeda. That's why I say I'm an Andromeda seed. And as I discovered aspects of myself, I learned that I wasn't just, an Andromedan star seed. I was much bigger than that. I was part of the creation of Andromeda and the life forms on Andromeda. I learned much about Andromeda and what it means. So the Pegasus is very big for us in Andromeda. I learned that I was one of the queens of Andromeda. So we have many planets, many solar systems, many queens in Andromeda. And so I'm hoping that by telling this story today, I'm awakening many of the queens of Andromeda today, and that they are hearing me say it's time for us to wake up, girls, because we hold codes for humanity to awaken. And I'm getting goosebumps as I say this, and whenever I get goosebumps, it means I'm telling the bloody oath truth. And so, I learned this aspect of myself during an ayahuasca journey, and Pegasus was a huge thing. Like when I did my ayahuasca journey, I saw myself, my higher self, as my most beautiful, beautiful self. And I was on top of a Pegasus, ready to ascend or descend onto Earth to help with the raising of the vibration and to share my light and story to everybody. And I'm becoming very aware now that the time is, going on here, and we're up to about 22 minutes here. And so I don't want to make this too long for anybody. So I will delve more into those other stories at some point about my Andromedan ancestry and why I'm here. But I would like to just say this in closing, guys. I am fourth angel of creation. That is who I am. When I denied that to myself, everything went to shit, pretty much. But when I started to live in that truth and I realized who and what I really am, life became beautiful. Synchronicity happened. A law of attraction was activated. Love within me was activated. Not only am I fourth angel of creation, I'm also from the future. I am an Andromedan queen, and I traversed back in time to come and help humanity because one of the timelines of Earth didn't look very good. In fact, it looked quite shit, where we pretty much destroyed Earth. We destroyed it with our hate, with our bullshit, with our lies, with the wars, with the atrocities that we are committing on the Earth. And so I came back in time to come and assist with the change and the awakening of humanity. And when I admitted this truth to myself as well, this was only yet confirmed by seers and shamans and by quite well-renowned and respected spiritualists. So I could no longer deny that I am an angelic human and an Andromedan star seed. And so I urge you all to awaken now. You are not just this physical body. You are an eternal soul, whether or not you are originated from Earth, another dimension, from the future, or from another alien race like the Pleiades, Andromeda, Sirian, Orion, wherever you come from, I urge you to awaken now. It is your time. The planet is ascending. It is time for you to awaken. I'm here to support you. Whatever your truth is, I believe you. I don't want you to be scared anymore. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are powerful. And you are loved and protected beyond measure. Only you can decide when you die. Only you can decide if you're sick. And only you can decide if you are loved and if you are well. It is time to heal yourself. It is time to love yourself. And it's time to step into yourself. My name is Gia. I am an Andromedan queen, an angelic human, and it's great to connect with you. And I hope you've enjoyed this awakening story. I promise to make my videos a lot shorter for you and to give you more information as time goes on. I'm here to assist anybody that needs help, so please feel free to reach out to me. I do card readings via video through my messenger. I also can help you with meditating and the ability that I have too is to assist people with understanding their star origins. And I know a lot of people are looking for that right now. So on that note, much love to all of you and to humanity. Welcome. We are ascending into the fifth dimension.